Welcome, folks. We are honored to be granted this opportunity to present our proposal for Ozone's first leadership management training course to you, our leaders and executive team members. Our main objective with this 15 minutes presentation is simple. We want to offer a tool that will endow our organization with the leverage to accomplish our 5 strategic priorities, which are 1. To be a positive customer experience. 3. Drive growth in the small business telecommunications market. 4. Invest and develop our people. And finally, 5. Focus on innovation. So without further ado, please enjoy the presentation, folks. That our managers will be able to recognize and understand the different leadership and management theories and models, gain a greater understanding of effective leadership and management practices, know how to use different leadership models to attain our organizational strategies and objectives, and finally, understand how to use SWOT analysis to identify strengths and weaknesses, and how to reinforce strength in leadership, which will ultimately propel Ozone Telecommunications Limited to drive growth in the small business telecommunications market and motivate and develop our people to be a strong growth company by 500% growth. Leadership management training is to equip our leaders with the necessary skills for success within the small business telecommunications industry. So when we designed this training, we used evidence-based practice as the framework for its implementation. We've made it engaging, interactive, informative, and applicable to the realities of business in Ozone Telecommunications Limited. We've varied the training methods to include lectures, group discussions, games, role-playing, and case studies, so that our leaders will be well-suited to steer our organization into market leadership in the small business telecommunications industry. To ensure that the training is effective and appropriate to our desired objectives, we've assessed the value and worthiness of the training to our organization and our leaders using Phillips methodology. We've incorporated a robust training evaluation process into the program that assesses the formative and summative value of the training program by utilizing pre- and post-training evaluation metrics for up to 6 months after the training and feedback to make modifications to the training to ensure that it stays dynamic, relevant to our organization, and abreast of current evidence-based practices. The training evaluation tools we use are the COMA model, which assesses the cognitive, organizational, motivational, and attitudinal variables. The Kirkpatrick 4-level evaluation model, which identifies 4 fundamental levels, called measures, to identify the training effectiveness. The Phillips return on investment model, and post-training evaluation at 3 to 6 months. There are a myriad of definitions on what leadership is, but essentially they all describe leadership as a process of encouraging and helping others to work enthusiastically towards their objectives. For leadership to exist, there must be cooperation and a willingness of the individuals and groups being led to attain the organizational objectives and common goals. Sachs and Hackown, in their 2018 8th edition publication titled Managing Performance Through Training and Development, argue that for a leader to be successful, they must be a role model, one who leads by example, inspiring others in a shared vision, challenging status quo and encouraging others to do the same. One who ensures that they recognize others' contribution, using both verbal feedback and tangible outcomes. Now, let's take a look at what a man, who was considered to be one of the most impactful leaders in the 21st century, has to say about what leadership is.
My name is Amy Wilkinson. I'm a White House Fellow. My question is how you would define the key characteristics of effective leadership that allow you to go and be an advocate for good.
Trust. The longer I have been in public service and the more people have asked me about leadership over the years, leadership ultimately comes down to creating conditions of trust within an organization. Good leaders are people who are trusted by followers. Leaders take organizations past the level that the science of management says is possible. One of my sergeants back in the infantry school at Fort Benning almost 50 years ago, which is where I learned everything I ever got to learn about leadership, was at the infantry school. And he said to me one day, he said, "Lieutenant, you'll know you're a good leader when people follow you, if only out of curiosity." I've never had a better definition. Because what he was saying, and I've seen it experienced in my life so many times. What he was saying is they trust you. And you have built up that trust. How did you do it? Clear mission and statement, selfless service. People look to you and they trust you because you're serving selflessly as the leader, not self-serving, selflessly. And that you prepare the followers, you train them. You give them what they need to get the job done. Don't give them a job if you're not going to give them the resources, and that you're prepared to take the risks with them. And so they would teach us at the infantry school, no matter how cold it is, Lieutenant, you must never look cold. No matter hungry you all are, Lieutenant, you must never appear hungry. No matter how terrified you are, Lieutenant, you must never look terrified. Because if you are scared, terrified, hungry, and cold, they will be scared, terrified, hungry, and cold. I've gotten away with that many, many times in the course of my career by being scared to death, cold, and wanting to go to sleep. But no, let's go. Let's keep going. Let's go around this corner, if only out of curiosity. And they'll follow you into the darkest night, down the deepest valley, up the highest hill, if they trust you. So the essence of leadership is about doing all that the science of management says you can with resources, but then taking that extra step and giving it that spark. And that spark comes from getting people to trust you so that they will follow you, if only out of curiosity. Thank you.
Management is a set of principles relating to the functions of planning, organizing, directing, and controlling, and the application of these principles in harnessing physical, financial, human, and informational resources efficiently and effectively to achieve organizational goals. Sachs and Hackdown characterize it as a process of orchestrating the work of others. So why leadership management training, you may ask? It is the amalgamation of effective role modeling, inspiring, encouraging, and recognition of people with efficient and effective processes. Leadership and management, though often considered synonymous, they are in fact different, albeit complementary. Management is described as more of science. It is exact, planned, standard, and logical, whilst leadership, on the other hand, is more of an art. Management deals with the technical dimensions in an organization or the job content, whilst leadership deals with the people aspect in an organization. All organizations require robust leadership and robust management for optimal organizational efficiency, and Ozone Telecommunications is no exception. So by marrying these two complementary items, we will be able to drive growth in the small business telecommunications market by 500% growth, and motivate and develop our people by 500% growth to be a strong growth company. This training will build capacity in managers with regards to managing their associates and keeping abreast of current trends and best practices. Standardizing of operations, one that cuts across all facets of our organization, so that all managers can lead our most prized assets effectively. Research has shown that a whopping 40% of employees leave companies due to poor leadership management. And by equipping our leaders, we can avoid that from occurring at Ozone, and ensure that all managers follow the same methodology in leading and managing their associates, so as to have uniformity and consistency in the culture of Ozone Telecommunications. Closing observed leadership gaps among managers, as this will guarantee employee engagement and the mitigation of labor costs on multiple fronts, such as absenteeism, presenteeism, high employee turnover, strikes, litigation, and arbitration, just to name a few. We anticipate that this training will be most effective when implemented under these circumstances. First, when an employee is hired or promoted into a managerial function. Secondly, it should be offered as an intervention when it has been observed that a certain manager has gaps in their leadership management skills and abilities. Thirdly, as a refresher training during the annual performance appraisal period to ensure that our managers maintain Ozone's standard of excellent leadership management. And finally, it should be provided when a manager self-identifies their deficiencies and reaches out for support in augmenting and improving their leadership management skills. The advantages of this training program includes our organization benefiting from having managers who are adept at leadership management. And research has shown that such managers build engaged teams, which leads to the organization becoming more effective at handling its operational demands, having fewer employee relations issues, and a reported increase in customer satisfaction, which I might also add has a direct impact on our organization's bottom line. This training will equip us with the necessary tools to address our strategic priority of investing and developing our people. And it builds Ozone value proposition as an amazing organization to partner with, as an employer and a small business telecommunications service provider. Due to our positive organizational climate that is largely nurtured by our leadership management training program, it supports the organization 5 years strategic objectives goal with monitoring, evaluation, and performance management. Now, let's examine some data on leadership management training programs, shall we? The International Coaching Federation found that 86% of companies, after calculating their ROI, had at least made their initial investment back, with 19% showing an ROI of at least 50 times or 5,000% their initial investment, whilst 28% saw an ROI of 10 to 49 times their investment, with median company returns of 700%, indicating that typically companies can expect returns of 7 times their initial investment. Furthermore, a consulting group study uncovered the following from companies who implemented leadership training: improved workplace relationships by 77%, teamwork improved by 67%, with 51% of employees reporting greater job satisfaction, and an overall quality improvement by 48%. The study also noted that a 10% increase in leadership training yielded between 8.6% to 30% productivity, whilst a 10% increase in equipment spending yielded a mere 3.4% productivity. On average, training expenditures for large companies cost around $986 per learner, with government and military organizations spending a bit more at $1,433 per learner, with nonprofit organizations following closely at $1,360 per learner. Our cost for this leadership management training program is $858 per learner, and based on our current staffing levels, we have 40 individuals to provide this training for. And when you plug all these factors into our ROI calculator, our return for the training is $240,240, which works out to be 700% or 7 times our initial investment. So tell me, folks, isn't this training phenomenal? Thank you very much for your time. Any questions?